What's going on, everybody? And welcome to the Peyton Collier Podcast. My next guest is one of the most recorded guitarists in music history, a Grammy Award-winning artist, 14-time winner of the Academy of Country Music's Guitarist of the Year Award, and 2-time winner of the CMA Award Musician of the Year. He's performed on well over 1,000 albums, and he's played a pivotal role in the construction of countless number one hits for artists like Alan Jackson, George Strait, Shania Twain, Brooks and Dunn, and Joe Diffie, always adding to his unbelievable resume and a career that spans over 30 years. It was a true honor and a privilege to sit down with this legend of the guitar and country music. Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Brent Mason. All right, everybody, here we are with none other than the man himself, Mr. Brent Mason, one of the finest guitar players of all time. It is a privilege to be sharing some hot tea.
Man, good to be here, Peyton.
How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing pretty good, man. I'm resting today. It's a weekend. Besides this is kind of work, you know?
It's always work when you're hanging out with me. I moved to Nashville about a year ago, and shortly after I moved here, I was able to link up with you, and you were kind enough to allow me into your home for a guitar lesson. And I just ended up talking your ear off the whole time, and you told me, you're like, man, you're asking some really deep, intricate questions. You should do a podcast or something.
Right.
And here we are.
That.
I'm a year into living in Nashville, and here we are. So I sure appreciate you taking the time to do this and talk. And I'm very excited to get in the weeds of.
Well, congratulations, man. You're cut out for this, I think.
What's that logo?
Well, that's Herbal Tea.
You're repping there.
Oh, that's the Mermaid and Alligator in Key West. I think we ripped this off one time.
Yeah, you're a Key West frequenter, aren't you?
Yeah, we are. My wife and I really enjoy Key West, so we go as much as we can to clear the fog in the brain, you know, and relax and vacate. And
how many times a year you say you go?
Oh man, we probably go about 3 or 4 times. This year will be probably 4, because I'm going to do a show. Dean Dillon has a benefit show that he puts on down there in Key West, and I'm gonna talking to Jim Moose Brown, the piano player. Mm-hmm. He put it together, and he said, "You want to go to Key West?" I said, "Again, sure."
I saw Dean's making his Grand Ole Opry debut this Saturday.
Right? Oh, I thought he had done that a long time ago.
Yeah, it was his Opry debut. It might have been this, or I think it's tonight. Actually,
is it really?
If we can have our computer person look that up when the Dean Dillon Grand Ole Opry debut is. But yeah, isn't it crazy to think all the songs that guy has written and dedicated to just the world,
and what quality of songs? I mean, just the lyrics and the melodies. You know, such classics. They sound like the songs that have been around for years and years and years, you know, written in the 50s, like Roger Miller, you know. Dean Dillon's, of course, he was inducted in the Hall of Fame, rightly so. And when we did that show, the Medallion show here in Nashville, Dean was inducted in the Hall of Fame, and we were singing the songs. I'm going, God, all these songs, there's not a lousy one in the bunch. I mean, they're all just like cream of the crop songs, you know, standards. A lot of them from George Strait.
Mm-hmm.
And George Strait would cut his songs more than anybody's songs. He would have a whole batch of Dean songs to cut every album that we did. So it was, you know, just amazing, gifted, talented guy.
And that like signature simplicity of his songs.
Yeah,
you know, like
right.
Marina Del Rey or The Chair.
Had a lot of major sevens in it.
Yeah, so
make you weep instantly.
He does that. I call it the hysteria chord. You know but yeah, Miami is one of my favorites when we've got the steel
Keith
and
Whitley.
you're doing all the harmonics and stuff. I only found out recently that I didn't know that you had written a song that Keith cut before he passed away.
Yeah,
Heartbreak Highway.
Yeah. Story about that was I had pitched him that song. You know, I had written the song with Lonnie Wilson and Don Frimmer, co-wrote a 3-part writer on that 3rd part. And he got that record. Garth Fundus was a producer, and he said, we're going to cut that song. You're playing guitar on that, right? And I go, yeah. So he said, well, I want you to play guitar on it too, you know. So come in and play on it. So I thought, great. You know, this is Keith Whitley's Wonder Do You Think of Me album. I think it was the last one that he did. And so I played the solo on it and everything. And he said, man, I want you to play on every song on the record now. So I stayed and overdubbed on every song that was cut. I wasn't on the tracking date, but I came in and overdubbed on the rest of the album, plus the one I, had written, Heartbreak Highway. So it was pretty cool.
Did you get a chance to meet Keith before he passed away?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. He was in there. I just noticed when he was singing the songs, he would nail them right on the first take. And Garth Fundus told me that he didn't really have to comp too many vocals on him. He would nail it on the first couple of takes, and he'd have the vocal. So he was, such a great singer.
He had that. I don't even know how to describe it musically. What he would do when he would do vocal runs. Like he had this like smoothness of the texture of his voice, and then he would just roll like in between notes. Like on I'm Over You, he does that I'm over you.
Yeah, well, I think he was raised around the bluegrass. He was a bluegrass guy.
Yeah.
And those cats can sing. There's no doubt about it.
There was just a sorrow to that man's voice in a good way. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh yeah, soulful, but also in that Merle Haggard quality. The Haggard George Jones kind of persona and fell into that category. You hear a lot of singers that sing that stuff and they go, oh, he's faking it. He's trying to do some fake country runs and stuff with his singing, but Keith, you could tell right away he was the real deal.
Mm-hmm. Sincere. And there is just no faking that. I think, I know you play it on a lot of Joe Diffie stuff, but I think that too, just his voice, the organicness, the honesty of it.
Yeah, Joe Diffie was incredible.
Mm-hmm. I think like John Deere Green, you played on that, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that song could have been sold as well by anybody.
No.
Like Alan Jackson's one of the greatest to ever do it. Obviously, you have an extensive working relationship with him. But I think when Joe starts saying they were farm kids way down, it just
comes right out of the chute, just killing it.
You believe it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Joe was great. Well, of course, he was a demo singer for a long time. They would bring him in. He would knock out demos and rarely have to punch in on him. He was so exact and precise and sang the right notes and had the right soul to it and the right style to it. He could also sing rock and roll and other genres he was good at as well. You wouldn't even know it was him, but just like Garth Brooks, a lot of those guys sang demos first before they fell into their careers. They got signed and everything. Joe Diffie was like that.
It's like session work for you or anybody. Yeah.
It's like session work. Yeah, there's singers just like we go in and make a song and develop a song. He gets in there, sings the song, develops it. Maybe just hearing the song for the first time, he'll make some notes on the lyrics and stuff like that and sing it like that. I can't do that singing a song. I said, give me 2 days and I'll come back and sing this thing. I got to practice it and learn it. Those guys come in there like I play guitar, or a guy plays, somebody like John Jarvis plays piano, or Lonnie Wilson on drums, and, Steel Paul Franklin. We all just hear the song for the first time and we play it. So Diffie will come in, hear it, sing it, go to the next gig, next studio, sing the next song.
Just using the voice as an instrument.
Right, exactly. I did a few demos like that, vocal demos, and I just didn't feel I was quick enough at it. I just kind of let the guitar playing took precedence over that right away. So that was my main. I thought I won't be doing that so much anymore. That's not my thing.
Yeah, it's crazy to think that like people with perfect pitch or they just have a naturally great singing voice are as comfortable using that as you are. Like once you get that guitar in your hands, which by the way, what a rarity! You're sitting here, we're having a conversation, and you don't have a guitar in your hands. How does it feel?
Yeah, kind of naked. I want to go like this. I want to go
like you left home without your phone.
Yeah, it's my safety blanket or my teddy bear.
Yeah,
I love it. Also, if I got a hole in my shirt or something,
yeah,
it covers that up.
I actually thought I found out last night before I went to my gig that I had a stain on my shirt, and I thought it just ain't gonna matter. I'm gonna have a guitar and
that's right, baby. Big meatball spaghetti stain there.
Yeah. So talking about Joe Diffie, so I think as a kid, I was always blown away by the intro of Pickup Man. That was one of the few on the radio that was like,
yeah, it was like a hot lick right out of the chute. You know? I
and
tried to play that the other day. I couldn't play it.
yeah, I can't play that one either. Or I'll tell you what, maybe I'll teach it to you after this.
Yeah. Now, I thought when you came over for that lesson, I thought you played it right away for me. Didn't you?
No, that I wasn't the Pickup Man guy. By that around that time, I was working on your Wade Hayes solo.
Oh, okay. I knew it was one of those solos.
Yeah, a little old enough to know better, but still too young
Right.
to
Yeah, I
care.
just worked with Wade the other day, man. He sounds
How's he
great.
doing?
He's doing great.
Wade does some picking himself. He plays.
Oh, he plays great. Because
Yeah.
every time I'd play, I said, that sounds like a Wade solo going to be put in there, right? And he goes, oh, he's so sweet. He's one of the nicest guys I know, Wade, and talented. But he goes, no, Brett, you play it. I want you to play in there. I said, well, you should play that solo. He goes, no, go ahead. You know, I might put one in there later. You know, I thought, well, if I was doing an album, I'd want to play all my solos. And, you know, and he's a great player. Now, on that, what was it, the single, Old Enough to...
Old enough to know better.
Old enough to know
Yeah.
better, right? I played that solo on there, and there was a lot of songs that Wade played too on there, but that one just was me on that one, which was a lot of picking on that.
Oh, my question about Pickup Man with Joe Diffie, and I think we had talked about this a little bit last year, but you've got a songwriter that comes in with a song. I'm a huge Toby fan. God bless him. Take Toby, for example. You know, Toby comes in, pretty standard guitar player, respectfully speaking, as far as just knowing his chords and stuff, but amazing writer, writes a lot of his own stuff. And so to reach a songwriter coming in or having a 3-chord song like Pickup Man, and you guys taking the musical athleticism to that level, what is the process where you were like, you know what this really needs?
Little triplet.
Yeah. Coming from just strumming the G chord on that.
Yeah.
part.
We all go, and I mentioned who played on. A lot of people played on that. Well, Lonnie Wilson played drums, also a co-producer on that. I think John Jarvis might have been on that. A lot of stuff on the piano, and we all just come in there with great attitudes and fun. You know, we're all telling jokes and it's all fun. It's like an extended family for us. We're all family when we come in here. We just set the whole atmosphere for playing good music. So I'll be in there, hey, Joe, give me one of those really just something crazy on the intro. And I go, I come up with that. You know, where some producers go, don't use that. Now this is not your album. This is Joe's album, you know. But Lonnie and Don Cook, who was a other co-producer, they always want me to do some wacky stuff and always some crazy endings that might twist the ear a little bit. So they kind of set the whole atmosphere for just having a fun session with some playing on it. Now, it never really got too over the heads. You know, you got to be careful. When you do a hook lick, you want to make it a memorable one, not too cerebral, you know. Or too fancy, you know, because it's got to be a memorable hook that the average listener out there might could hum along with, right? But when it was solo time, they go, just go crazy on the solo, though. You know, make a nice melodic, simple hook in the front, but then on the solo, just go crazy. So I go, gotcha.
How much do you of that? So like when you were talking about you and Lonnie and the guys in this team that y'all kind of created, kind of your own little wrecking crew, it sounds like.
Yeah, that's true.
What do you think is the relationship of productivity in the studio and just working on anything together? Like when you have that relationship as opposed to you coming in with somebody that you don't know or you working with somebody that's giving you negative energy or something. Like,
right.
It seemed like your eyes kind of lit up when you were like, you know, we were just having fun. We were telling jokes.
Yeah.
And it seems like that was probably a huge part of the spirit of those songs that happened.
That's right. We're all having making connection with each other. We know each other well. We know how each guy plays, you know, and they're all versatile, but we know their personality when they play.
Where'd you build those relationships, though? Was that before you got in the studio with those guys and the team, or?
No, mostly it was just way early on when we started doing sessions, like demos and stuff like that, like, who's the drummer? This guy's Lonnie Wilson or Eddie Bears, who had been much established before I came in. But just meeting Eddie and getting to know him on sessions, Paul Franklin, steel guitar players, there's just a big crew, family, extended family that we all just go in and we go, hey, look who's playing. I hadn't seen you in a week. Like that was a long time, right?
Yeah.
But we just knew each other, and that's how we played together. Just like if you go in and play, the Muscle Shoals guys, they know how each other play. They play laid back. They know what the feel is. The Wrecking Crew, there might have been interchangeable players, but they've all worked together and they know what each guy does. So it's like everybody feeds off that energy and connection,
Do you still have that kind of camaraderie with in your daily studio life? Like you still work with people that you're just like, that guy gets it,
Oh yeah, we still do. And then there's some that go in there I don't know so well. That doesn't mean they're not good players, but it's like it's just you're trying to follow their what they're thinking and what he's trying to guess what I'm thinking, and we'll play a little bit, and sometimes it all worked. There's a marriage. Sometimes it doesn't, and you feel like there wasn't much magic on a session, not due to the one guy. It's just everybody didn't really feel comfortable with everybody,
Mm-hmm.
And not that somebody was a-hole or something like that. It's just you got to know their personalities, and then finally you realize, well, these guys are great too, and I get their vibe, just the way they talk and their little antics and stuff like that. You got to get to know them, and then the music kind of falls in place from there. I establish that first.
Yeah, I started saying like what I'm thinking is like, I feel like if you're in a great mood, you're joking with your buddies, you're having fun, you're way more likely to come up with a great riff or a great solo, just because like your body's like, all the cylinders are rolling in the right direction.
Yeah, you could also go, what are you playing there? That's shit. That's the shittiest part I've ever heard. You can say that. They go, oh, get out of here.
Yeah.
Well, I've heard you do that before. You got another, another laugh. And then, because everybody's comfortable with everybody,
Yeah, you can have that relationship with them. I'll tell my band and, stuff like when we're like playing live, like sometimes I'll be like, hey, slow down, like tell the drummer to slow down. And you got to work with people that's like, that guy's not mad at me. He just wants me to play slower. Right. Got to have those relationships outside.
I was just thinking too, a lot of times the producer's got to be into that same mindset too. I've played with producers that were just like, so into themselves and just had something in their head that they didn't like this guy over here, and the session didn't happen because of that, because of just the kind of rubs that we had. It might have been some arguments even with a producer, like, that's the last time I'm working with this guy, I don't need this shit, which just destroys the whole session, right? So a lot of times if I see a producer like that, I'll try to like disengage from that, because I'm thinking, we don't want to ruin this artist's music because we're not getting along, So there's that too. But most of the producers I've worked for are real cool cats, they're all in with the musicians. Hey, yeah, I love that. What'd you just do like 5 minutes ago? That'd be great for the intro. You go, really? Yeah. So, or they could say, that's great, but I don't think on this song it's working, and then you really say, okay, that's cool. You kind of agree with that, but no hard feelings, so there's that too. So it's producers, musicians, it's a marriage of all that stuff.
I feel like most people, yourself included, that I meet that are, that chose this, music per se as a career and chose this life. Most people that make it to the level that you're at or near that or further have a level of humility and coolness about them. And I've always wondered, I'm like, how do you make it to the point where you're like the biggest producer in the world, but you're a huge asshole? Like, burning bridges the whole way. Is it just a sheer talent thing?
It's the credibility and success that you've achieved.
Yeah.
So you have to put up that attitude, because these guys have a whole list of credentials that'll make you look silly. So, well, he's kind of an asshole, but hey, you can't argue with him. You know, argue with him all the way to the bank. You know, so you know it's if. You know, I'm not going to mention any names for sure, but there's some producers that are like that, but their success is so extensive, you know, that it's you just gotta do what they say, roll with it.
Sounds like dictator.
If they get too abusive, though, you can pack your stuff and leave. That's your prerogative, you know.
Mm-hmm.
You may not get asked back, but you know, so there's a lot to sacrifice for that. Or you could just say, you know, hey, he ain't going to bother me. I'm just going to play good music here. So, but I've been close to packing up and leaving, but I don't think I've ever done that on a session. I hear a lot of stories about that. Musicians just put the guitar in the case. That's it. But I'm out of here. You know, no more of this crap.
What would have gotten you close to packing up and leaving?
I think there was a. Yeah, I can't. I'll let you know when I can expose all these people. Not right now.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that.
When they die.
Well, not even that. Let's just say that, you know, I've had people, hey, you know, that ain't the tone you had yesterday. I said, I didn't change anything.
Yeah.
It's just say, look, come on, my God, come here, look at it. You know, no, I don't care what I'm seeing. That's not the tone you had. You know, okay. What do you want me to do? This is the setting. It can't be me. It must be something in there. You know, we'll start to bat it back and forth, you know. And then finally I go, okay, I know a lot about my tone and I know what I'm doing. Sometimes you could just kind of screw with them and go, there, that's it right now. I'll turn the knob and it didn't really go anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll go, yeah, that's it. Why didn't you have that a long time ago?
Placebo tone. Yeah.
Right. So it's all, they perceived it as, you know, you were in there and you finally did what they said.
Well, I imagine you are typically, if you are in a recording studio, met with, you know, unparalleled respect because of you're kind of at the top of your food chain in the world of session guitar players. And it's got to be an interesting thing that you're probably so famous within your circle of people that, you know, like guitar players and stuff like that. But you've also managed to have a successful career while you can still go out and have dinner with your wife maybe without getting, you know, stopped on the street for 50 autographs, you know. It's not George Clooney territory, but it's...
No,
you know,
not quite. But
I'm sure on Broadway it's pretty close, probably.
yeah, it's you know, I'll get a few that come over and just, you know, recognize me or something. And, you know, it's kind of cool. I mean, I even, you know, it goes around the globe and while I'm there, at least I'll experience one or two people. Hey, aren't you the guitar player Brent Mason? I go, yeah. Oh, you know, then they go on from there and think, well, that's pretty cool. You know, I'm over here in, you know, Ireland or something. Somebody says that, or wherever, just anywhere, you know, I've went. It always seems that I experienced that a little bit, but like you said, not on the level of, you know, a big mega star or something, you know, like Tom Cruise or something, you know, but it's enjoyable just because I get a little bit of it, you know, and still can live a normal life.
So in the earlier days, what was it like when did the tide start turning to where you were just being hired for session work to where people started being like, that's the guy you call?
Well, when you start playing on hit songs and your guitar becomes, you know, an implement and synonymous with the song, you know, when like Reggie Young played on great records, you know, Drift Away and stuff like that, his guitar is synonymous with that song. You could play any other intro and they go, that's not the intro to that song. When I do Chattahoochee or something like that, my wife's over there.
Just giving us notes.
Yeah.
I love it.
That's subtle, wasn't it? Wasn't that very subtle?
I like it.
She had Brooks and Dunn, Alan Jackson. That's right. Okay, there's some of my hook licks. So when you get enough of those and they're number ones, then all of a sudden they go, we got to get Mason on this. He makes a song a hit, right?
So the psychology of writing hook licks and solos, the difference in that. that's the thing that set you apart from everybody else in that time period, right? Because I don't know if there's any more iconic, maybe other than the, Shania's synth intro on Man, I Feel Like a Woman, of the 90s, and a more iconic riff or moment than just that slow train beat on Chattahoochee and you doing that major seventh walk up from the beat of the sea, for your intro lick. And it's so simple, just
Yeah.
I feel like in everybody who hears that, whenever that happens, that is the quintessential like sound of the 90s.
Right. Yeah. It's Alan would come up, he'd say, give me some kind of low guitar lick riff in this front. So I'll be messing with something and then finally landed on the one, the one that's on the song. And he'll go, that's it right there. So, he knew what he wanted, instead of maybe me starting up high with some kind of a crazy, wacky chicken picking bend or something, he wanted a low guitar riff. And so I played a few of them until I came on that toad. And see, I had to be careful with that because it sounded like Footloose a little bit. There was a Kenny Loggins song called Footloose. So I had to redirect it a little bit, change it a little bit. I added the fifth slide in with the toad. It was like a two, like sliding up with the C and the F sharp G on top,
Is it like a 1 and 5 power chord there?
Yeah, it is like a two note power chord.
Really, everybody in the world plays it with one note.
Yeah, it's not one note. Somebody did that. Yeah, they just went a half step slide.
I wonder if it's the mix or something.
I had the G note in with it. It's in C.
Yeah.
The root. Whatever that is. I can't.
Isn't it funny to think I've probably played that song 5,000 times more than you have?
Probably.
And you're on the record.
Yeah. I always joke around. I've played Working Man Blues. I probably set the Guinness Book of World Records for more than Merle Haggard is saying it, Working Man Blues.
So I know when you moved here, you had more like singer-songwriter artist ambitions back in the day. Is that correct?
Yeah. When I first moved here, I just wanted to play guitar. When I first, I didn't say I got to go to be an artist. I really wasn't thinking that. I was kind of coerced into that when I signed a publishing deal. There was a guy, Charlie Monk, who passed away just recently around Christmas, signed me in a publishing company, Monk Family Music, which was a subsidiary of CBS Songs at the time. Randy Travis was signed over there, some other artists. Keith Stegall was part of it, who was a producer, produced the Alan Jackson stuff and many other things. Great songwriter, singer, and producer. But I started singing on the songs I'd written. We'd go in and do demos of the songs, and I would sing on them. And they go, we love your voice. We got to get you singing on some stuff. So people started calling me to sing on some of their songs they had written, like we talked about earlier with like Joe Diffie and Garth Brooks and all this started that way. But I never thought I was good at it, right? So I did it, and then mostly they would stem from that would be, hey, you are you playing guitar on that too, right? Well, we need you on the guitar more than the vocal. That started to take precedence over that. So I started playing on sessions, and then it kind of parlayed into that. That's how it started.
Dude, you're a great singer though too. Do you wish you had pushed harder in the direction of singing your own stuff? You don't regret
what
that?
happened was a perfect storm there, because I had a record deal with MCA Records for a while, and it kind of fell by the wayside. It just didn't happen. I think I got signed about the same time. You remember Patty Loveless and all that?
Of course.
It was about the same time. Great. She's great.
Mm-hmm.
And,
did you play on that song that her and George Strait did, House of Cash?
Yes.
I love that
that's
song.
That's me. We did that in Key West at Buffett's studio.
Really?
Here in Key West, yeah.
How do you feel about giving back things that have taken you your whole life to learn and that you learn from mentors like on the internet through like Jam Play and stuff? Do you like doing that stuff?
There's certain aspects of it I don't like to do. But I like the personal thing, like I'm doing right now. Like you and I, when we were here just in person, you were here in person, and the interaction between us, we can. But I'm not so much on this. I mean, it's an important thing, to have students and send them out material and have them subscribe to lessons every month and a real kind of a regimented thing. I'm not into that as much. It's almost like you and I are having a beer and we're playing and talking. Although I'm teaching you stuff, it may be just talking. Or I'm showing you licks, It's almost like I'm not a therapist or anything, but it can, people want to pick your brain. They go, "What? Tell me about the industry. You've been in it so long," and then sometimes we won't even play guitar. We'll just talk about the mindset of the music industry, and they want to know about recording effects and stuff like that. So it varies. Each one varies. So there's not a real regimented program that I have, So that part of it, I'm not. I mean, I'm not running down Jam Play. Don't give me, because they're great. I don't. There's not a better company than them for sure, and it's got me success.
Maybe Amazon.
Well, Amazon that exudes everything.
But so would you say you're still passionate about giving back to people in a personal way like that?
Yeah, and that's what I mean. In a personal way, that's exactly what I'm giving. The knowledge I've acquired, and hopefully they can get it in less. It took me a long time to get it, but no overnight success here for sure. But maybe I could pass it on, and and just give them what they need, to continue on, and the tools and stuff like that, and the knowledge that I could carry forth and give to them. Yeah, for sure.
I've probably seen and watched at like 0.25 speed on YouTube every tutorial video you have, everything that's accessible, that's you in front of a camera teaching it. And I could sit there and watch it for hours and stuff, but I swear to God, it just me. I know everybody's different in the way that they learn, but the most productive I can be with my time when it comes to playing guitar and practicing and learning your licks or anybody's is just sitting there playing it over and over by myself, not looking at the tabs, but it's just like actually learning it, using your brain to find the notes. Yeah. And then I feel like you learn it in a different way, like it expands your brain channels.
Yeah. The muscle memory kicks in.
And because that's what you had to do back in the day.
Yeah, it was all, phonetically learning things, I didn't read music. So it was all by ear. I would take those like Jerry Reed albums and Chet Atkins and whoever, because those were complicated to me. The Jerry Reed things had a lot of moving parts in it, components to it, open strings, bass lines, melody, all going on at the same time. So it was only thing I could do was just phonetically, they were vinyl records, is move the arm on the record player and keep going back and forth till I dug holes in the vinyl, that's what, till I'd throw them away and buy a new one.
The sound effects are coming in great.
But like mic. Open string licks, I think might have been, I told a few guys on Skype, they were wanting those chromatic, open string riffs that Reed played and stuff. And the only way I could figure it out when I was young was any note that I could substitute with an open string, a fretted note that I could substitute with an open string, do it in the scale, because I could tell what the open strings were by hearing how they resonated, by ear, stuff like that. Yeah, you find shortcuts and you find ways to learn, without having them. We didn't have, internet, of course, back then. And just living in the middle of Ohio, there wasn't much resources back then. There was some good musicians, but they played maybe different kind of stuff. But yeah, it's a whole thing. Everything is kind of at your fingertips now, literally. Learning things like watching YouTube and instructional videos and stuff like that. It's all something we didn't have back then.
It's a weird thing because while it is on paper helpful to people to learn and stuff. You've got a complete oversaturation. You've got 1,000,000% more guitar players now than ever, and a smaller percentage per capita of them that are great.
Right.
Like even just humans today, like they just want shortcuts to everything. They want to watch
you're
one
right there.
5-minute Brent
right.
Mason video. Even myself, like I'll watch video and I'll get frustrated and be like,
Short attention span.
I don't think there's any shortcut. I think it's just time. Like it's on the clock, just playing that time. I don't think there's any tab book that helps you
No.
cut the line,
No, you're right.
So when you do something, like when you did Brad Paisley's Play album and he did the Cluster Pluck, which all you fellows won a Grammy for. When you're with the big dogs like that, the boys that can go toe to toe with you, is there a spirit of camaraderie? Is there a spirit of competition? Do you still get like inspired by those guys and vice versa?
All of that. But here's the thing. On that record you're talking about, Cluster Pluck, nobody was there when I played. Everybody did theirs separately. They came in, well, first, Brad had cut the tracks at the Castle studio, West Nashville. They had called me to play on it, right? So Frank Rogers, I was trying to think. Frank Rogers produced it. He and Brad produced it, and Frank had called me and said, "Come out and play on this." I said, "Yeah, sure." So when I went out there, it was just Brad sitting there and Frank, and I grabbed the guitar and he showed me the spot to play in. Since I was the first guy to do the solo, out of the whole bunch that was on it. He showed me the spot. He goes, "Hey, since you're here, could you do the harmony at the end with me?" And I figured that out, and then I played his harmony with him. And then I left. That was it. We talked and played it a few times. He goes, "That was great. You happy with that?" And I go, "Yeah, that's great." But I was thinking, boy, I wish I'd heard what the other guys had done too. Maybe I need to amp it up. Maybe mine's going to sound lame, when Johnny Highland gets in there, who knows, a red Vocard or something. There's a lot of guys on there. Jorgensen.
Albert Lee was on that.
Yeah, Albert. No, I mean, my God, who plays better than Albert? Nobody.
Not cleaner.
No, man, he's a force to be reckoned with. But anyway, it was like, I wonder how many of them went, "Let me hear what everybody played first, and then I'll do mine."
Yeah. And so you didn't get to?
No. Oh, no, I played mine and left, and then the last I heard, the last was the whole mix of the thing, and it was on record. That's the next time I heard it.
What'd you think of the final product?
I thought it was great.
Yeah.
I thought it was good.
Were you pleased with your solo after hearing the other guys?
I was pretty pleased with it. I thought I could have, revved it up a bit or something,
Was there like a riff you're like, damn it, Albert did that riff? Like,
Yeah, there was some good, there was all the solos were good. They had a lot of good personality in it,
Do you have like a if there's a guy that like their playing is always going to stimulate you to do your best and you for them, vice versa.
Yeah. Well, just there's no single guy, Andy Wood is he's a killer guitar player. His speed, he can kind of be daunting, with his speed and technique. He's pretty good.
Like his sweep picking, he's all over
he's
metal spectrum and stuff.
Yeah, he's got it, man. So I mean, everybody goes, "Hey, you play so fast, do something fast." I go, "Andy, come over and play him something fast, okay?" But I love Andy, but he's soulful player too. So he's a well-rounded player. But I mean, now in the studio scenario, there's always we're always a couple of guitar players in the studio. That started in the '90s, I think. Later in the '90s. I mean, Dan Huff and I used to play together. On a lot of, we played on the Shania thing. We played on, so much stuff together. It was Dan and I look about like from here to you, we were always, and I would watch him. I go, "Damn, how's he doing that?" And then I go, I'm gonna have to ask you, what are you doing, man? And Dan would come over and they go, "What are you doing on this? This country thing you do, So, and I, there's a few. I mean, there's no one, and I just thought of Andy Wood because we done the Woodshed thing, which is some of the best guitar players come to do this Woodshed, and I'm just thinking, well, I'm watching everybody playing in this little wooded area out in East Nashville.
I've thought about going to that. Is it
That's great. And I'm thinking, these are some of the best guitar players in the world, right here in the woods.
Yeah, no pun intended.
There's nobody playing any better guitar than this right here. There's camaraderie and respect, like you say. Now, I took it to the studio. I'll just finish what I was saying. Everybody's like, I wonder, there's this thing about when you're playing on a song, and like, wonder which one of us is going to take the solo, So everybody's always like, playing rhythm through. We got two guitar players because, hey, producer goes, we got two guitar players, but aren't one of you guys going to take the solo? Like he's thinking we're lazy or something. No, we're just being respectful. If I got the solo, it's like we split the solos up a little bit, And Dan Huff and I did that a lot. There was a mutual respect, because Dan's one of the best guitar players in the world. We would say, you want to play the solo on this? I'll play the solo on the next one, So it kind of works, that way too.
Earlier this year, I was shocked to see you on my Netflix screen, in which you were actually interviewed for the Shania Twain documentary.
Yeah. I was going to say, I wasn't in the Tiger King.
Man, talk about a story you can't make up. Now, you did watch that one, right?
I didn't watch the spin-offs of it. I sort of ran my course with
it. Yeah. They were terrible.
Oh, the great thing is there's so many great documentaries right now where a lot of people don't understand how the music is made, and that's becoming, apparent now with all these documentaries. Very educational for people. They understand now. My relatives never could figure out when I said I'm in the studio playing on the record, they couldn't figure that out. Well, we saw the video, you wasn't on it. Or we saw him play live and you were not in the band. Keep trying, okay? Keep plugging. You'll make it, until they see you on TV or something, they go, you made it. So there's that. But you're right. They're becoming. It's becoming. There's a lot of documentaries now. If you want to study up on, studio musicians, background singers, and stuff like that. All started with Standing in the Shadows, the Motown. I think it all kind of, continued on from there and built some nice documentaries based on that.
I think it's great too, in just this podcast format and stuff, like people having the opportunity to like actually hear your story and the little details of how you get to where you get, because you read somebody's Wikipedia page and it's like, Brent Mason moved to Nashville, Tennessee when he was 18. Then Boot Scoot and Boogie happened, and he was, a billionaire.
Big jump.
Yeah, so
I wasn't trying to divert from the Shania question. On the Netflix. I'm sorry.
Well, we'll get
went off on a branch.
We're just climbing the tree, baby. All branches and all,
Good.
But so Shania, one other than her being one of the most undeniably successful, charismatic, popular, amazing, talented people ever.
Mm-hmm.
What I love about those songs is Mutt Lange, who produced her records. I feel like he did such a good job at taking what you can do with the guitar and taking these songs to the next level and elevating the country element in these pop songs.
Yeah, he did.
Fantastic job. Without compromising the pop side or the country side. And so one of my very favorite solos of yours, which is a relatively simple one, is Love Gets Me Every Time.
Yeah.
Because you've got those
Drop B thing.
You're doing those double stop like chromatic slide ups. It seemed like Mutt was like, give me sincere, unique Brent Mason and help me take this song to the level. So I've always been so curious as to what working with Mutt was like, what Shania's input was on your guitar parts, and if you felt like before these albums came out and before the success that followed, if you felt like you had made magic with Mutt Lange in the studio.
Yeah, I think we talked about that a lot on that documentary. Paul Lime, a great drummer that played on most of Shania stuff with me, and we always felt that this is going to be a colossal. She is going to be a colossal star. She's beautiful, sings great, and writes great, and just down to earth, sweet, generous person. And it's like, where do you see a package like that come around? You don't. And that happened. She broke loose and just was an international star. Plus, she's got one of the best producers in history, musical history, doing the records. And yeah, I could hear all this stuff happening musically. Mutt had put everything together so perfectly to make a record. Everybody had sonic space in it. The guitar player was here. Here's a cool thing about Mutt. Everybody was playing like, I want to play my best rock and roll riffs. Maybe he'll call us for a Def Leppard record or Bryan Adams or something. I'm gonna rock this out. And he goes, no, I'm not really looking for that. I really like a Don Rich approach. Don Rich with Buck Owens? Yeah, I love that stuff. I would like to put that into the song more, And we were going, yeah, okay. So he wanted, on a song like that, you could start playing your best Steve Lukather licks or something on it, or you could do Be You. I was being me on it. He said, give me some, he was talking about, I think had a discussion about Bakersfield country. He was a big fan of Buck Owens and Haggard and all that. And he liked the guitar. I said, oh, that was Roy Nichols, Don Rich. He named them off. I go, wow, I'm really impressed with you, man. You would think, oh, this guy's all rock and roll. He doesn't know anything else, And of course, he's the best rock and roll producer, arguably ever. So, when I did that solo you're talking about, it had a drop D on it.
Yeah.
It was kind of clean and telly kind of thing, and it really, I listen to it now and I go, yeah, that was the right solo for that.
Oh, dude, it's so good. I remember the first time I heard that because the guitar is so country, but it's not like retracting from the song. And I just wonder.
I mean, it had a little reckless kind of attitude,
dirty. Yeah.
It was dirty and kind of bold, go, just like, I don't give a shit, play, here it is,
Mm-hmm.
But it had, some symmetry to it. It was, I did it a few times, but Mutt was known for editing and comping guitar solos and stuff like that, But that one was one of the ones right off the top, that I'm going, that's, usually if you're doing a guitar solo, you're going to be here all day, And I think that was one of the first takes I did on that solo, on that song you're talking about. That one and That Don't Impress Me Much. Mm-hmm. That one there was the first guitar take I did on that solo where the had that little Amos Garrett kind of bend to it. And I thought, well, I'm going to be here. That certainly is not going to be the solo. I'm going to be here all day punching in on that one. And he goes, no, I think we got it. I go, you're kidding. Dan Huff is going, what? We were over there going, man, maybe we got something going now, man. Every time we come in here, we're going to play a solo. He's going to love it. No, we were back to square one and building solos, but there was a couple, that solo that Don't Impress Me and the one you're talking about.
Love Gets Me Every Time.
Love Gets Me, I always forget the title. That one was off the cuff kind of, he took it.
I've been dying to hear about him. You can't find interviews with him anywhere.
Yeah, he's pretty private, man. You got to love that. You got to respect that.
I do. And I wonder, how people say like they could tell when Johnny Cash or George Jones was in the room, even if you couldn't see him, like being in the room with Mutt, you're like, okay, this guy is a different level producer. Like he's got a different kind of focus and a different kind of ear. Yeah. I don't know how familiar you are with Rick Rubin. But he is a very, listening, driven man. And it takes a different personality type.
Yeah. And Mutt's like that, plus more. He's, here's the thing. He's real sweet. He doesn't try to intimidate you or anything like. He's real bohemian kind of. He's in there barefooted with shorts on, and tank top or something, whatever. But he's real sweet. A lot of times if you think, oh my, I should be getting this solo by now. I'm slowing down the session. You got to get that solo. You get these a-hole producers. Mm-hmm. Okay. And, you see their jaws clench and looking at their watch. You got the solo now or, Mutt's like, hey, we're going to be working on this a while. So, can I get you some coffee or something? It's sounding great. And he's being nice and honest. Mm-hmm. He really does think it's great, and he really wants to get you a cup of coffee, you know, because he feels bad that he's making you play so much, you know. So you can't really get mad at him. He knows what he wants, and he goes, hey, this stuff is too important just to buzz through it, you know. Because I think Paul Lime had experienced him saying that. He said, why do you work on things so long and so much? You just keep playing it. Why is that? I mean, he goes, because it's so important. This is so important to me. You know, we go, okay, that makes sense. It's important. Yeah. It is important.
Quality over quantity.
Yeah.
Like he'd rather sit there for 3 weeks
right.
and get that perfect Love Gets Me Every Time solo.
Yeah. but, you know, just, you know, Mutt had worked, you know, with like Def Leppard and, you know, so many other, you know, Bryan Adams and some other rock, other rock groups.
Well, he did Back in Black.
Back in Black, yeah, AC/DC.
It's the best sounding rock record ever.
Hey, you can't. That's very intimidating. You know, it's pretty daunting to sit in front of him and play. You know, because this guy knows how to create hit records and sounds, and you know, from country now to the rock and roll, you know, records. The colossal rock and roll records that he did, like Back in Black, for sure. That's the main one.
Well, I think he really championed that like reverse reverb snare sound in the 80s.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah, you know the thing that's on all of our country songs now? But
right, yeah.
Did you think like hearing those Shania songs or like well, first of all, like, so how did you get the gig on that? Like, is that a thing where the label would hire you to do that? Or
no,
was Mutt like, I want that chicken picker guy?
You know, Mutt had wanted me, you know, and I think maybe Dan Huff might have, you know, he said, who would you like to play with? And because Dan and he were really good friends. And Dan said, yeah, I should get Brent Mason, both of us together. We work some together, and he's real fun, and vice versa, you know. I'm thinking that's how it got set up, you know. But who knows? I mean, Mutt had called me, so you know, I don't know if somebody representing him, you know, called me, and Mutt was there, and Mutt was asking me questions about, you know, and I said, yeah, man, gosh, this is a great opportunity.
When you got to the studio to work on those Shania songs for the first time, what place are they at in production? Do you have like all your drum tracks done and everything? Like are you the last piece of the puzzle?
Well, the first album we did with him, we played, the whole rhythm section was there. We were playing all together. This was pre-digital recording. This was all analog. So we had all cut it at Soundstage. I think Paul Lime was playing drums and Joe Chimay on bass. Jarvis played on some of it, you know, different. But we cut the basic tracks. I did the guitar on the some of the tracks all together with the rhythm section, and then that was how the whole week went. We cut the songs like that. Now I may have came back and overdubbed or redone some parts, you know. But later on, you know, when we got into the digital recording, Pro Tools,
was Come On
Logic
Over
and Nuendo and all that. What's that?
Was Come On Over digital?
Come on, which album was that on?
That's Man, I Feel Like a Woman.
Oh, that was digital.
Yeah,
that was digital.
Because that you're saying the rhythm section played, you know, on the first album.
Yeah. No, they played on that one too. The Come On Over.
Mm-hmm.
That was all cut in Master Phonics Studio, live on the floor. Everybody was playing together. The one that when we went to Bahamas to do the Up album, he had all the drums cut and the bass too. Then we played to that. That was the album that parted ways and went to, you know, to the new high technical procedures, you know, an aspect of it.
And Come On Over, you know, that's when her music went to like the stadium sounding thing, you know, like
yeah,
it
elevated a little bit, got a little more expensive sounding.
So I wonder, from the time that you lay down your guitar solo or your guitar parts on the Come On Over stuff to hearing the finished product, did you know that like no song sounds like Man, I Feel Like a Woman, like from the synth intro to the and just the attitude to it, you know, it's just it's the song of a generation.
Yeah, I knew it was going to be a monumental record. I mean, I just knew based on, you know, everybody involved in it, record label and the producer, the musicians, and the money spent. It had to be, and it was.
Is there a session that you did, something that you worked on, something that you've contributed your playing to, that you really gave your heart and soul to, you were so proud of the final product, and that maybe a lot of people don't know about? Maybe not a number one hit song, but something where you're like, I did that one right, and I feel good about it regardless of the outcome,
Yeah, there was a lot of stuff. I mean, getting in the traditional country mode, who passed away a long time ago, Daryl Singletary.
Oh, one of the best.
There's some of the great music, guitar playing and country, songs cut, and steel, guitar, fiddles, some of the best instrumental kind of things in there that some of the best stuff I've played on, Hearts of Armor, Trisha Yearwood, I was very proud of that album. I thought that was a beautifully cut album, real organic, cut over at Sound Emporium with Garth Fundus.
Those 90 songs that you guys are doing, even from the reverbs on the snares to like, there's just so much space for the music, for the instruments to take turns, fill in the gaps, and songs written, from
well,
the 60s to
country
90s.
Songs like that,
Spacing.
like that. You have guitar fills. We always discuss the arrangement of like piano fills the second verse. Always, no. The guitar takes first half of the chorus, steals, fills the second half of the chorus. That's how you arrange the country song. Otherwise, it plays itself. So that's what's so cool about some of those traditional songs. They're all about guitar licks and fills and solos and intros, where a lot of pop kind of country stuff is more about parts and textures and effects and stuff like that, right? Sometimes you hear those, you go, is there a guitar in that song? Well, I hear power chords. Okay. So sometimes you don't, the guitar playing right now is taking the keyboard part. But there's a lot of stuff that just album wise, it was kind of caught up more in obscurity that even I've forgotten, But we've done a lot of stuff, Brooks and Dunn, Alan Jackson for sure. A story on that I'm in love with the waitress. To whatever that is, kind of I'm in love with the waitress. Don't even know her name. That song was almost more than half instrumental. And that's just unheard of, that song being released in the country and made like number one in the country charts.
Good time, too.
Yeah, and you listen to it and you go, damn, that thing's just about all instrumental. I mean, I did like 2 solos with electric guitar. The whole section was, the whole chorus, maybe 24 bars or something. And then I did an acoustic solo, overdubbed the acoustic solo, just about that many bars. And then another electric solo that was on the fade out or something, It's just unheard of.
Well, dude, that's the thing about Alan's tunes, the simplicity of the way Alan's tunes are written. It allowed you guys to make so much music over it. And the musicianship used to be an integral part of what made country music what it is. And now, with everything, I can't imagine guys like you that have invested your entire life to dedicate to preserving musicianship in this genre.
Well, yeah, and it's funny you mentioned that because in my thinking at the time when I was playing on those songs like that, I said I want to make this so musicians like it, but I don't want to get too get too cerebral and overzealous with it, because I know it's all about the artist, not me. But Alan Jackson would sometimes go, because we're all kind of like well-disciplined musicians. Is that too much of an instrumental? Should we cut out some bars, right? Let's do 4 bars. Because I know, that's a long time for an. Alan would go, no, in fact, just double it up, man. Play it again. Play it another time. Because that's what we did out in dance halls. People dance. We make them longer. A lot of instrumentals. And we go, okay, that's great, man.
Yeah, if people are cutting
you had to applaud that from Alan. I respected that from Alan. He was. He had a good vision of where he wanted to be and go. He had a good artistry that he understood. He understood what he wanted and what would sell and what people would like. So not many like that.
I feel like your guitar parts with the Alan Jackson songs
Okay.
is like the premier collaboration between your playing with an artist. You know, it's like where everything
Yeah.
worked right every time. And so I imagine, you know, I think Good Time was in 07 or something, or 06 or 07 or 08 when y'all recorded that. And I'm thinking, you like get that call and you're like, here we go again. Time to make another Alan Jackson banger.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I had, you know, kind of being a chameleon. You have to be a chameleon. I've talked about that a million times. But when I went to play an Alan record, I put on it's kind of a mix. Way I figured it's kind of first of all, classic country like Merle Haggard, but mixing Bakersfield style in with a Louisiana Cajun style. I always thought that was some of his up-tempo songs, you know, like Chattahoochee and all that, had a Cajun feel to it. You know, that whole kind of thing. It's a fun groove to play solos on. But it was Bakersfield meets that Cajun Zydeco kind of thing, you know? And a lot of times when I go do George Strait, I thought I got to give George a little bit of different sound. But I mean, you know, sometimes it would be kind of close to that, you know. So I would think a little differently with that. But I mean, but then George had different songs, a little more kind of. Some of them were a little more urbane sounding, you know. They had some like classic country sound to it, you know.
I can't think of a song where you were playing as aggressively on any George Strait songs as you are like those Alan tunes.
Yeah, well, yeah, you're right. You're right. Those were.
Write This Down has got a pretty strong
Yeah,
intro.
so yeah, it's more commercial kind of, you know, specifically for commercial written, like Clear Blue Sky, those kind of things. You know, they were going to be number ones because they had that sound to it, right?
The King's voice.
Yeah, yeah. But then George would do some really fun swing songs that were kind of trapped in the middle of the album somewhere. It was just explosive playing. You know, like, you know, Western Swing on
Ace in the
steroids.
Hole.
I wasn't on that one, but there was some other, you know,
That was a
every
little
album
earlier.
had some kind of a fun picking song on it, you know. I thought that was kind
Did
of
you do Run?
Yeah, I did Run.
You wouldn't hear that and be like, oh, that's definitely Bernd Mason playing.
Yeah,
Run.
that's me being, you know, putting the changing hats here a little bit.
a very reverby 80s
Yeah.
kind of vibe.
Right.
People love that song.
That's a cool song.
Yeah.
And I think that when we did the George Strait tribute, I think that Taylor Swift, that was her favorite song of his, and she had picked that one to sing for him, you know, representing him.
Yeah, he's keeping that Texas swing alive.
Yeah,
Of
yeah.
course, he
So
always-
Alan wasn't much about the Texas swing, so that you might move that over to the George Strait side, you know, because he was, you know, a Texas guy. He came out of that Bob Wills school too, Oklahoma swing in Texas.
Is there a style of playing now that really invigorates you now? Because you've got to be burnt so bad at the point where it's like, can you even stand to hear the phrase chicken picking or Telecaster?
You know, I really can't. I'm going, oh, here we go again. That whole
Yeah.
bit, you know, chicken picking. I'm gone. I hate to, you know what it is. You know, I understand what they mean when it's chicken picking, but what a label. You know, it's like everything but standing on a bale of hay with some chickens all around you.
Yeah.
You know, for the picture. You
Yeah,
know?
it seems kind of outdated, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's just guitar playing. There was.
Have you ever heard of that?
I hear it's like it's somebody when they're talking serious. I'm very into that chicken picking.
Yeah.
Chicken picking.
Yeah.
What do you call it? Oh, okay. You know, but there was a joke. There was a producer, and I think it was from Canada somewhere. He came down, French Canadian producer, came here to Nashville to cut a record. I've heard this, and he goes. The producer was telling all the musicians out there. There was like those guys like Hal Rugg and Fred Newell back in the days. You know, my predecessors, the Studio A team. He
Your
said, I like
ancestors.
what you're doing, but we need, I like where you pluck. We need some of that plucking. What do you call it? You know, pick, 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 pick. And one of them said, oh, you mean chicken picking? And he goes, yes, more of the chicken picking. Yes, I would like some of that interjected into this. Yes. So they all started playing, and everybody was chicken picking. Whoever steel, acoustic, like, and he goes, stop this session. Oh my God, everything sounds like the chicken.
The chicken.
The chicken. You know, another. I was thinking of Dwight Yoakam, what he was doing on the West Coast with Pete Anderson. There was a lot of solos on his thing. I thought Pete Anderson was part of that team, like, you know, me with Alan, you know, and I thought to this day that Pete, you know, his stuff still holds up as some of the best guitar playing, you know, recorded on a country record.
And so
Pete
simple
Anderson.
too. You know,
You know, all those crazy kind of whacked out
I like
bends. I thought he was amazing, and the tone was just so good.
Oh, Fast as You, just the subtle,
Yeah, that
like that sneak
I
up.
loved that guy.
Yeah, Pete or Dwight or both of them.
Both of them.
Yeah, yeah, man.
Applaud them for making those records. Man.
Yeah. Well, you're a big Haggard fan, right?
Yeah.
I think he's the greatest country music artist of all time, all
too.
things considered.
Me too.
Because he,
Kind of like the Bob Dylan of country, you know.
well, he wrote, he sang,
and played.
and played really well.
He loved to play guitar.
When Haggard is playing with the Strangers at ACL, he's got that leather jacket on. I've watched that video millions of times, but that was after the Western Swing thing. Did anybody else have a band that they were putting together like that was like all rippers, like saxophone?
Well, way back before that, even before Merle, a little bit, was Ernest Tubb. Leon Rhodes and the guys that played with him, you know, Buddy Emmons and Leon playing instrumentals. Ernest Tubb would always let him open the show with a bunch of instrumentals, and it was amazing, mind-blowing good. Leon Rhodes was just mind-blowing good. If you ever get a chance, look back to some of the, you know, Ernest Tubb. My dad loved Ernest Tubb and Jim Reeves and Roy Acuff and all that stuff. But he was a big Merle Haggard fan, you know. And then later he loved Jerry Reed and Chet Atkins, and I took a liking to Jerry Reed when he first, you know, brought out those albums. I went, who is that?
He's one of my heroes, just like personality wise.
Yeah.
Like I love. Oh yeah, we'll go like real deep with the Cajun accent. We're playing Jerry's songs, just be like, Louisiana law, gonna get you, Amos.
Push to the beat.
I thought it was about had me enough of them cigarettes right there. That's when I had me another puff.
So I just about had enough. Yeah, right. Those are.
I was thinking things are getting kind of rough.
With that little bit of encouragement, I took another puff.
Yeah. As agreed. Man, so we'll get to wrapping this up here, though. But
Okay.
I just want to ask you, you know, I look around this room, I see all the records that you've been a part of, all the awards you've had, you know, at least 30 years at this point of being associated in the world
30
of
plus years.
country music as one of the most identifiable guitar players sonically, and the impact that you've had on the guitar community and the country music community, so much so that, you know, people that love your riffs that may not even know your name or the contribution that you've given. So I have to ask you, after such a successful career and in such a meaningful career, what is something that still inspires you to keep fighting it and to stay with it and to not give up on the session when your butt's getting tired in the seat, and to know that this is the life you chose? You know, what still inspires Brent Mason at this phase in his life?
Well, just you know, great music that's still out there ready to be recorded. You know, there's great artists. I mean, I'll have to admit, I go to some sessions and go, God, I can't wait to get home. You know, I've heard so much of this, I'm about ready to pull my hair out. And then there was some days I go on and go, wow, this is fun. This is a great music. You know, whether it's country, totally country, or, you know, I just played on an album I know it just came out, Ernest.
Yeah.
His album is great. I listened to it the other day and I go, man, this guy is good.
Really?
It's a great album. Listen to it. That's just a current thing. But I mean, you know, I was proud to be a part of that. There's great guitar playing on it. And I think Derek Wells played on some of it too. You know, we about a half and half. Great player. And it's a great album. Ernest, great written songs, beautiful singing, you know. So I'll give him a plug here. But people will send me tracks to play on, you know, and I'll hear some of the best artists out there unknown. They're just doing a vanity album or something, or just doing something that probably you'd never hear of, you know. But it's like I do some of my best playing on that. There's always great music to record. I'll just say that just to generalize it or just to sum it up. There's always great music out there to play on, you know. And that's what I do best. And I love to create stuff. I love to create music and add to it, make it better, make it sound, you know, even better than before I played on it. You know, I love doing it. So, you know, I'll let you know when I get tired and want to just throw it down.
Yeah.
But I you know, you say you're going to retire, you know. There's never really retiring from music. It's in your blood, you know. I mean, maybe you could, if you do retire, you know, you can be more selective and play on some stuff, you know, or do your own thing, do your own stuff, perform, which I do that as well, you know.
When's the next time we can catch you in person?
It's that Key West thing with Dean Dillon. He's putting this. This is a great thing.
Well, who's that band you'll sit in with though down in Key West?
Oh, that's Caffeine Carl and the.
That's where I saw you posted an Instagram video of you were playing Steely Dan with them, and you were just playing straight rock.
That was Miles Mancuso, who's a just incredible player in Key West. Just amazing young. He's like 27, but he had a band that was called the Glass Cats there, and I just sat in with it. It was a great band. We only heard that one song. I got up and played a little bit with him.
What was it? Not listen to the music. What's Long Train Running?
Yeah, they had their little funk.
Oh wait, that's Doobie Brothers, not Steely Dan.
That's Doobie Brothers. Yeah. Well, I'll send it with Caffeine Carl down there. Plays Smoking Tune a lot, you know, in the Buzz, and then Miles is a great guitar player there. I sat in and played some bebop with some jazzers at the Gardens Hotel. There's jazz nights, so I had to get my jazz chops up and play, you know, my George Benson impression, you know.
After all these years, you've heard all 11 or 12, whichever you want to call it, notes that there are to be played. Every band, every song, and everything ever. So it's interesting to know, after all these years and all the work that you've put in to bringing music to life, that you still are intrigued by music and or still things can surprise you. You can still hear a new record like the Ernest one. And I think it's a testament that your love and investment towards music, you know,
still thrives.
Yeah, still thrives after everything that you've experienced. And I think it's awesome to know that you're not jaded and bitter, you know.
No, not bitter.
At this point in your life. Just because you've done it all, you know what I mean? It's like you get to the top.
Yeah.
And it's like, where else is there to go? You know, and so I'm sure it's a lot to juggle, like psychologically, just like.
Yeah, it is. It becomes psychological after a while, you know, even playing, you know, it's like I'll practice a lot, but more than I practice chops on the guitar, I'll listen to, you know, whether it's a soundtrack on a movie that has some chord arrangements or something, I have to figure that out, those chords, you know. So I'll listen, you know, sometimes when I take a vacation, I don't even touch the guitar. I just listen to music and get like, oh, I wish I had a guitar now, you know. So it kind of cleans the brain out, you know, wipes the slate. And then when I come home, I pick up the guitar and I haven't played it for a week or two. I feel like I play better because I'm all fresh here, you know. It might take like 20 minutes to get the chops back up, you know, but that's secondary to just having the brain working and the soul and the heart, you know.
So yeah, you got to keep or sometimes you got to do a clean wipe of the memory, you know, system.
A reboot.
Yeah, that's what I was looking. A hard reboot.
Yeah.
Do you think y'all ever move out to the beach?
This is still Music City, though. You know, a lot of stuff.
Well, yeah, and you're still
here.
a busy guy.
Yeah, I am busy. That's something that I can be a little more selective at what I do. But then I find myself booking something. Why'd I book that?
Mm-hmm.
Because I kind of miss the dudes I play with, you know. If we take a then I don't see the guys I've been seeing for 30 years, you know. They're like my brothers and sisters, you know. So that's part of my extended family out there. And those these musicians I work with all the time for years. We go way back. I'll say like Lonnie Wilson, Eddie Bears, Paul Franklin. I've known them for, 30 years plus. So played with them. They're still here playing. Good. I love it.
Well, Brent Mason, thank you so much for allowing me to come over here and take this. My first remote podcast, by the way.
Well, I feel honored that I'm on the first one. That's good, Peyton.
I know you get plagued with worship and stuff all the time, for just your playing and stuff. But me as a songwriter and wanting to pursue a career as an artist, I value the team players that make the team the strongest entity that it can be. If you've got, you can't win a Super Bowl with 10 quarterbacks.
Unless you're Tom Brady.
Yeah,
and
of
you
course.
can kind of carry him on your back.
But I think your creative contributions to music and the songs that you have participated in over the course of your career exhibit a very, very special character. And I'm grateful to have heard those contributions over the course of my life. And I'm grateful to have had this conversation with you. And thanks for having me here.
Well, thanks, bro. Well, I had fun. This was a blast, man. So good luck. Good luck on your new venture here, your new adventure.
And your wife makes a mean hot tea. Ladies and gentlemen, none other than Brent Mason. We'll see you next time on the Peyton Collier Podcast.
Thank you, man. Hey, thanks, man.
Hey, thank you
We'll do
so much
the
for
COVID bump. Let everybody
COVID
know.
bump.
Hey, the COVID thing when they're bumping, and you ever do that? We come in, somebody will shake your hand, and you go like that. And then they go like this, and you go like this. It's like paper, scissors. What do they call it?
Rock, paper, scissors?
Yeah, rock, paper, scissors after a while.
Now we forgot rock, paper, scissors.
Yeah, I forgot.
We're going down a slippery slope.
I blew it.